Remote access technologies. In this lesson, we're going to look at different ways and softwares that you can use for remote access. Let's go ahead and get started. As a technician, you cannot always be in all the places you're needed. Remote access technologies will allow you to do just that. You can create a remote connection to a distant computer on a network and change its configuration or resolve an issue that user is facing. Sometimes you need to allow remote support to connect to a network or on workstation that you are administrating. In this lesson, again, we're going to look at remote access technologies that's required by the CompTIA A plus exam. In order that you will be able to understand and evaluate them and determine what's best for your organization. Microsoft's Remote Desktop Protocol, or RDP, this is exclusively used with Microsoft operating systems. An RDP client or the remote desktop client, also known as MSTSC.exe utility, is built right into the Microsoft operating system. Now, even though this is a Microsoft technology, there are clients for other operating systems that will connect to a Windows computer. RDP communicates over TCP port 3389, and this delivers the remote screen and connects the local mouse and keyboard for that RDP session. RDP uses transport layer security, TLS encryption by default, and it also provides 128-bit encryption. Now, Microsoft allows one remote connection user or a local connection on a desktop at a time via RDP, but not both at the same time. Other operating systems have clients for a connection to a Windows computer, Mac OS, and Linux. Virtual network computing, or VNC. This is another remote type of software. It's used on many different operating systems, and it uses port 5900 or 5900. But this supports encryption through plugins. It's not encrypted by default. Okay, security concerns for both of these technologies. Microsoft RDP, again, it uses port 3389, and this is well known for a target for attackers. They look for this port and probe for it. Now, here, if they find a port that's open on 3389, they're going to try to brute force that. If you have a weak password, they may be able to get in there. So what you want to do is make sure that you don't have a weak password here. You want to make sure that that password is a strong, complex password, as well as other layers of security here. Say, for instance, like a filter that allows certain IP addresses for the remote desktop protocol entry. For VNC, again, this is normally just configured with just the password. There's no encryption here or no protection. Once a remote user has access, they can access and do anything on a system that a user could do. Get on the network, see personnel information, etc. VPN is another remote technology. A VPN extends your company's network across the internet or any unsecured network. Usually, there is a concentrator or a firewall in place, and it performs the encryption and the decryption of that VPN tunnel. All the information that's going through that tunnel is encapsulated through that tunnel, and it's secure and private. So onlookers and attackers won't be able to access that encrypted tunnel. There's many types of VPNs. There's the site to site, which is a constant connection between two endpoints. There's also the client to site, and this is an at will connection. This is also known, used to be known as the road warrior type VPN. You may have a mobile device in the field, and an employee or a salesperson out in the field, and they would connect back to the home office through a client to site VPN. Also, there is clientless VPNs where there's no need for a client. It uses a browser and make a VPN connection through the browser. VPN security. The data across the VPN tunnel is very secure. Encryption techniques are the most secure out there on the VPN tunnels. The key here is to your credentials, making sure that those credentials are secured. It's also recommended that you use MFA or multi-factor authentication. And that way that there's multiple ways or multiple layers of protection there. Secure Shell or SSH is another type of remote technology. It's commonly used for remote access via a text console. Now, this encrypts all communication between the SSH client and server using the port 22. It uses a public private key pair cryptography, and this can provide remote access for applications as well. Now, with SSH, the connection between the client and server is encrypted. So, authentication is a target area here again for attackers. Even though SSH supports public and private key encryption, unpatched servers is a problem. A compromised key pair could be an issue. Root accounts should be disabled for SSH use. Limit access to SSH by IP address. In the firewall, there should be a filter that only allows certain IP addresses that you trust to be able to use SSH from that location. You may also come across a system called a Remote Monitoring and Management System, or an RMM. This system is used by IT professionals and help desk and enterprise help desk, and it monitors and manages the company's components remotely. It gives a holistic view of computers, applications, um, different service levels. It might maintain them as well. Offers features such as patch management and asset inventory. Has a lot of important information, has access to the information as well. So you can see that this is a big target for attackers. Now, access to these systems should be limited. And authentication shouldn't just be a password, but also MFA as well, multi factor authentication. You want to let different layers of security here because this system has a lot of access to a lot of information in an organization. The Microsoft Remote Assistance, or MSRA, this allows a trusted helper to assist by accepting a solicited request from a user. Now, this was first released way back in Windows XP. The user chooses to invite someone to help and generates an invitation. That invitation.msr incident file is saved and emailed to the trusted user. And a technician also uses a password to connect. Now, this was replaced by Quick Assist. Now, the security concerns for this technology is the email with the invitation file. Password verification could be done over the phone instead of sending the password. It should be done over the phone. If this technology is still in place, is still in use, once that file is sent, the password verification could be over the phone. Now, there's other third-party tools out there for screen sharing, video conferencing, file transfer, and desktop management. For screen sharing, there's TeamViewer and there's GoToMyPC, just to name a few. For video conferencing, Zoom, WebEx, and Microsoft Teams. For file transfer, Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive. And for desktop management, there's Manage Engine Desktop Control and Citrix Endpoint Manager. In this lesson, we talked about remote access technologies and the ones that you should be familiar with. Number one, for the CompTIA A plus exam, as well as, and two, as an IT professional, be aware of what technologies are being used out there and which ones you can use for an environment. I want to thank you for being with me for this lesson, and I will see you in the next lesson.